Alright, we're still on section 3, but this time we're on inverse variation. So our equation for inverse variation that you should always be thinking is y equals k divided by x. And that k is our constant of variation, and we have to find it by multiplying our x and our y. So if you ever do this out of order, you'll be okay. So x times y is the same as y times x. We do not have a graph for inverse variation because it's a curve, and you won't hit curves until Algebra 2. So wait till then. So number 4 through 6, we need to write an equation for the following. So it's a lot like direct variation, but this time our equation needs to look like y equals k divided by x. And we're going to fill in that k with our number for k. So all we have to do is say k equals x times y, or 2 times 6, 12. So inverse variation is really easy. Just multiply the two numbers they give you together, and then you have it. 12 divided by x. So that is our equation right there. For our next one, n varies inversely as m. Just remember that your y is now n, and your x is now m. So we've got n equals our k divided by our m. And to find that k, multiply the two things they give you together. So 1 times 8 is 8. And there you go. All done. For number 6, r varies inversely as k. So our r is the new y, and our k is the new x. And we just need to multiply those things together, and we find that k equals 27. So plug that into your equation. Oops, I used y. Should have used r and k. So r equals 27 over our x, which is k. So make sure you use the right variables there. Next, we need to determine if each table represents inverse variation, and if so, find the constant of variation. So if so, find k. Well, that's really easy because we find k in order to tell if it's inverse variation. So remember, our k equals x times y, so we're going to multiply every x and y together and see if we get the same thing. So right here, 0 times 0 is 0, 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 6 is 12. I think we can stop there. That's plenty. That is definitely not inverse variation, so not IV. We're getting different k values there. Let's try our next one. Negative 4 times 0.5 is negative 2. So our first x times y is negative 2. Our next one is also negative 2, and so is the one after that. And then we get another negative 2, and 8 times negative 0.25, well, guess what? That's another negative 2. So there we go. We found the same value over and over again, the same k value. So this is inverse variation, and k equals negative 2, that value we kept getting out. All right. Now we've got one more of these. So I'll get positive 20 when I multiply x times y, positive 20 again, positive 20, and positive 20. So there we go. We see the k value is constant, so this is inverse variation, and k equals that 20 that we kept getting out. So now let's go through some word problems. The time it takes to paint a house is inversely proportional. There's that word we don't see very much anymore. We usually see varies inversely instead of inversely proportional, but it's okay, we can work with this. So the time, y, because it's before the inversely, to the number of painters, so number of painters is going to be x because that comes afterwards, on the job. So if I have 3 painters, that's my x. In 24 hours, that's our y. How long will it take 4 painters, my x, to paint the same house? So let's first set up our formula. So we have y equals k divided by x. And remember, we find that k by taking the x and y that they give us together and multiplying them. So k equals x times y. So 3 times 24 is 72. Now let's find our new x. Let's plug in our new x to find our new y. So how much time it's going to take. So we're going to say y equals 72 divided by 4. And your final answer, simplify that, divide, and get 18. So it would take 18 hours for 4 painters to paint this house. Number 11, the cost per person to rent a cabin. So cost is y, it comes before the inversely. Number of people is x who share the rent. If the cost, there we go, another y, for 5 people, that's x. What is the cost per person when 8 people share? So remember, people was our x. So I get an x equals 8 right there. So let's start by writing the equation. So we know what it's supposed to look like because it's inversely proportional. So y equals k divided by x. And my k is going to be given to me when I multiply the x and y they gave me at the same time together. So 5 times 36 is going to give me 180. Now I just need to plug in my new value, my 8. So I get 180 divided by 8 for my new y. And that's going to be 22.5. But this is money, so we're going to say $22.50. Alright, so here's a little bit of mixed practice. And these aren't really big word problems, they're just little word problems. So we're going to start with y varies directly, so we know y equals ax. I have a y and an x given together, so I'm going to find my a by saying the y divided by the x. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And I'm going to plug that into my formula, so y equals negative 2x. So that's my base equation, and I'm going to use that base equation to solve for new values. And they say find a new y when x equals negative 6. So I'm going to take that equation, I'm going to plug in that the x is negative 6. I'm going to find that it is positive 12. So that is the final answer. For number 13, this one says varies inversely. So I'm thinking y equals k divided by x. And find that k every single time by multiplying the x and the y they give us. So the 8 times the 40 is 320. So I'm going to write y equals 320 divided by x. Now they're giving me a new value here for y equals 10. Now it's been a while since we solved equations, so to solve something like this you need to make it into a proportion and cross multiply. So cross right here, that's 10x, and then we get 320 on the other side. I'm running out of room there, so let me rewrite this down here where I have a little bit more room. So this was 10 equals 320 all over 1 and x. And I cross multiplied here and here, so that was 10x equals 320. So I can divide by my 10, and x equals 32. Alright, got a couple more. Number 14 says y varies inversely with x. So I know that y equals ax, and I'm given a y and an x, so I need to take my y and divide by my oops, sorry, said inversely. I'm starting with the wrong formula. Let's restart that one. Y varies inversely says y equals k over x. So let's take that x and that y and multiply them to find my k. So negative 4 times 10 is negative 40, so y equals negative 40 over x. Now find a new y when x is 5. So that's negative 40 divided by 5, or negative 8. Here's the directly one I was reading. So m varies directly was n. So m equals an. And it's usually y divided by x. For this case, it's going to be m divided by n. So I've got 7 divided by 2 as my a value. And 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So my equation is y equals m equals 3.5 times n. And all I need to do is plug in that m is 21. So 21 equals 3.5n. Solve for that missing n by dividing by your coefficient. And you'll be done. So 21 divided by 3.5 is 6. So n equals 6.